Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has reacted to the election outcome with disappointment. She says a large majority of Albertans are deeply frustrated with the results. At a news conference, Smith had a message for the Prime Minister about Alberta's energy resources.
Over 300 MPs got elected because they stood on a platform to get our resources developed, to work with provinces to establish economic corridors, and to get our products to market. I think the NDP got crushed, the Greens got crushed, and the Bloc Québécois lost ground because they were opposed to that agenda. And so I would hope that the current Prime Minister understands that his mandate comes from moderate voters who actually want this province to be a genuine energy superpower and the country to be a genuine energy superpower.
There had been indications that some Alberta ridings could go to other parties, but as Aaron Collins reports, didn't happen.
Polls suggested there could be several toss-up races in Alberta, opportunities for the Liberals to make gains in the Conservatives' stronghold. But in the end, while there were several tight races, Fortress Alberta held for the Conservatives. Liberal candidate Corey Hogan did manage to flip Calgary Confederation, but his party's only incumbent MP, George Chahal, lost in Calgary McKnight. The end result the same, just one red seat, an island amidst a sea of blue. Among that sea, Calgary Centre Conservative Greg McLean, who won his seat for the third time in 6 years in a tight race. McLean says it's no mystery why the Liberals find it hard to make inroads in Calgary.
It is a city that has been held back by this Liberal government's policies. I often wonder, what do Calgarians have to see to understand that the Liberal government is not moving this province forward, is not moving this city forward, is costing them day by day as far as their economic development goes. So why people voted ticks beside the Liberal box is still a mystery to me.
Up the road in Edmonton, it was a similar story. It was thought that there could be an opportunity for progressive candidates to pick up some seats in Edmonton, but it didn't turn out that way. The Liberals held onto their only seat in the city in Edmonton Centre. Meanwhile, the NDP held on to one, but lost their other seat to the Conservatives. Heather McPherson is now the NDP's lone MP, winning in Edmonton, Strathcona.
I'm not going to lie, I'm very disappointed that there isn't more representation with other parties, because Albertans deserve to have people fighting for them at every single table. And you know, I think that it is a mistake when there is just one party represented.
As expected, Conservatives swept the rest of the province outside of the two big cities. And that means more Conservative MPs in Ottawa. Alberta has 37 seats in Parliament now, up from 34 in 2021. Conservatives have taken 34 of those 37, leaving their Alberta fortress stronger than ever. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Calgary.
Okay, let's dig into this divide between Ottawa and Alberta. So we've reached Rob Breakenridge. He's a columnist at the Calgary Herald and joins us from Calgary now. Premier Smith vowed to protect Alberta from future hostile acts from Ottawa. When you hear that, explain for us what that means.
Well, I mean, there's the obvious. It means challenging the federal government in court. And I think, you know, a couple of lingering issues like the emissions cap in the oil and gas industry or the net zero electricity grid. There's some issues of provincial jurisdiction, and maybe Alberta has a legitimate point. Beyond that, you get into the realm of the questionable, you know, the Sovereignty Act kind of ideas, or Alberta going out of its way to try to block or stymie federal laws or legislation. And that gets a little more dicey, but it's kind of all of the above, I think she's referring to.
Smith has called on Mark Carney to reset the relationship between Alberta and Ottawa. What do you think she means?
Well, I mean, that can mean a lot of things, right? I mean, look, if there's a genuine desire on both sides to build a better relationship, there's no reason why that shouldn't happen. You know, there is the concern that maybe both sides, including or maybe even especially the premier, still have a bit of a vested interest in there being a combative climate. Certainly much of the UCP brand has been built around, you know, we're going to stand up to Ottawa. You need us kind of on that wall, so to speak. And yeah, I mean, if that's not a threat, then it shifts the attention away from all of those issues, maybe to other issues here in Alberta that the UCP is not as strong on or not as comfortable with. So there is that built-in vested interest to be combative, but at the same time, look, there's a need, I think, right across the country to ensure that we're leveraging all of our strengths to make sure that we can be economically thriving and economically independent, given everything we're facing from the U.S. And I think there's an opportunity there for some common ground.
Mark Carney has a background in economics. He has a background, a connection to Alberta. Hey, he was wearing an Oilers jersey on the ice with Edmonton early on in the campaign. What do Albertans think of Mark Carney?
Well, I think, he does represent some change. You did see the Liberal vote in Alberta go from 15% in the last election to about 27 or 28%, even though it's still the same number of seats that they picked up. So there's that. And, certainly I think at least the tone has been different. And some of what we've been hearing from Mark Carney over the last several weeks, now that he's officially now reelected and will continue as prime minister, we'll have an opportunity to see how that gets put into action. So, sure, there's some frustration here. I mean, about 65% of Albertans voted Conservative, so there was a clear desire for a change we didn't get. But maybe at least now there's more of a blank slate, an opportunity to start fresh. I mean, Justin Trudeau, after a decade, you kind of know what to expect, and it was not something Albertans were fond of. Maybe there's an opportunity here for something different.
Yeah, but here's a complication, right? And there are many complications, but consider this one. Bloc Québécois says they're ready to work with Carney, but they oppose pipeline projects. And let's say Carney follows that lead of the Bloc Québécois. It feels like that's going to put a strain on his relationship with Alberta.
Well, it could, and it's going to be a delicate balancing act for him. And I guess it depends on what kind of projects we want to prioritize. And, it's not necessarily up to the government to say, hey, there's going to be a pipeline that goes from point A to point B. I mean, I think we want to create the conditions where there's some investor certainty, where the market can kind of decide where those sort of investments make the most sense. Maybe that's additional capacity out to the West Coast. And we've got some important LNG projects happening there. Maybe the market thinks that makes more sense than a more expensive and winding pipeline out to the East Coast. So, that may take some of those issues away. But yes, if there's a desire to build that kind of a project and the opposition from Quebec, how does that affect this prime minister in a minority parliament like this?
Really nice to get your perspective from Western Canada, Rob. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Ian. Thanks.